Okay, let's try this one more time. Hello everybody, welcome to the Bullseye Show. Today's topic is going to be ranking my top 10 PPR wide receivers for the 2020 season. And this is full point PPR, by the way. So for every reception they get is a point. So right off the bat, Michael Thomas. I think he's going to do... he's the Saints wide receiver if you don't already know. I think next season he's going to be very similar to last season, although his numbers are going to be a little bit reduced, just because, they add Emmanuel Sanders in the offseason. Drew Brees is kind of getting older, but obviously that didn't do much for him during the season, although I guess he did have Teddy Bridgewater for a little bit, for like 5 or 6 games, and so maybe that could have done something, but he still ended up at the end of the season breaking somebody's record for receptions. Let's see. I don't know. I was gonna look it up, but that's really all you need to know. I just think just because Emmanuel Sanders is gonna be there, it'll be a little bit reduced, but not by much. They have a really great offense. They're going against some really good teams this season. They're going to need to score a lot of points, and Michael Thomas is going to need to be there. And like he has the past couple years, I think he's going to show up again. So I have him as my number 1 wide receiver. Number 2, I have Davante Adams. Davante Adams is going into a team, the Green Bay Packers, with Aaron Rodgers. Honestly, they're looking to maybe get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Aaron steps it up and looks for Davante more this season. Davante really is the Packers' go-to wide receiver, and he's been their really only consistent guy the last at least 2 years. They got rid of Jimmy Graham, which is good for him. They brought in Devin Funchess, which, to me, it's not going to do much. If anything, they're just going to have to rely more on Davante Adams. And so as long as Davante Adams stays healthy, he's going to do well. Aaron Rodgers is going to get him the ball. And he has a great chemistry with Aaron Rodgers still, and I don't think anything is going to change about that. So I really like him as my number 2 guy. All right, number 3 is Julio Jones. This guy is basically the definition of consistent wide receiver. He's been playing, 9 years in the league or something like that, 11. It's up there, but I really like Julio again this season. They're going to, like Michael Thomas and the Saints, the Falcons and Julio are going up against some really good offenses, including the Saints, the Buccaneers with the addition of Tom Brady, and now the Panthers, which people are kind of low on them, but, I like their personnel they have. I think they have a great time to improve, and just the competition of their division is just going to bring all these guys, wide receivers, up in terms of standings and points scored and touchdowns and all that jazz. So that's really why I like Julio, consistency, and the dude's a beast. So he's my number 3 guy. Number 4 guy, Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs. To me, he is their number 1 wide receiver. He has Patrick Mahomes throwing to him. They got a great offense around him, including Travis Kelce, and then their running backs are pretty solid. Spencer Ware. They have the other, I forget his name, but they have some solid guys in the backfield, and then they got that rookie, the second-year wide receiver out of Georgia. I cannot remember his name right now, but all these guys around him are really gonna. Oh, and Sammy Watkins too. All these guys are just gonna open up the playing field more, and just Tyreek is just gonna do his thing. Speed kills in the NFL, and is still gonna kill this season. And I really like Tyreek Hill. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to do really well. Or suspended. He can't get suspended or get injured. Otherwise, he can have a good season. So, and I will say, I had 2 years ago a fantastic combination of Tyreek Hill and Julio Jones. Fantastic wide receiver combination. It was beautiful. They basically won me my league. All right, moving on. Number 5, DeAndre Hopkins. Before this, I probably would never have thought, before this year, I never would have thought that I would have been putting DeAndre Hopkins outside of my top 3. Now he's my top 5. And, it's really hard to put him outside my top 5 just because he's so good. Even if he changes teams from the Texans to the Cardinals, he's still DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, he's got a little less experienced quarterback. He's with Kyler Murray. It's only his second year, but Kyler Murray's showing a lot of talent, and this could be the year that he really steps up. His team is much better on the offensive side. They have Kenyon Drake. They still got Christian Kirk, and they have Larry Fitzgerald. All those guys are going to open up holes, and DeAndre Hopkins, he draws double coverages every time. So, and even then, it's still doesn't really help that much. And I just think as long as they just establish some chemistry in the offseason, which I'm sure they will, that it'll be a very good season for him. And, unless Brock Osweiler was throwing to him, it's really hard to rank him outside of my top 5. So, there we go. DeAndre Hopkins, number 5. All right, number 6, we have Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I guess while we're at it, Mike Evans is my number 7 guy, so we'll kind of do a little combo talk about them. Chris Godwin really improved last season. He had, 86 receptions, 1,333 yards, and 9 touchdowns. What a year. He really showed out last season. I mean, Jameis Winston was just throwing almost all the time just because they were so bad, but he really made the offense a lot of fun to watch. And, I think Bruce Arians really liked him and wants him to give him more of a role. I could see him getting close to 95 receptions this season. It's going to be really hard just because what's his face? Mike Evans is on the same team, and he is consistently getting 1,000-yard receiving yards, or he's constantly having 1,000 yards a season. So, but I can totally see him doing it, and I think they got a great team going for him. That offense is going to be really hard to stop. So yeah, for me it's a no-brainer to have Chris Godwin right there. And then Mike Evans as my number 7 guy. Again, he's one of the definitions of consistency. I don't think he's had under a 1,000-yard season in the NFL. So, that's weird. Yeah, like last season, 67 receptions, 1,157 yards, 8 touchdowns. For both of them, I'm seeing very similar numbers to how they did last year. In fact, I would almost see them scoring more touchdowns just because I feel like Tom Brady has a lot better presence in the end zone. So, and then just the receivers are very talented. A lot shorter throws from Tom Brady, but they're gonna get stuff done next season. I really like this spot for him, and I could definitely see really either one of them in the top 5. But for now, I have Chris Godwin ahead of him basically because of youth, and I think they're gonna try to give him the ball more because Mike Evans has been a little bit on the injury prone side, so that's really why I ranked him that way. All right, so number 8, we have Kenny Golladay of the Detroit Lions. Let's see here. Not sure why caps lock is Okay. Last season was a breakout season for. Oh, actually, no, not really. It was more of a breakout for him in terms of touchdowns. Um, on the Lions, but the Lions are so bad that like. I mean, he was their only shining star besides maybe their running back, who was injured last season. I forget his name, but let's actually look it up. But last season he had more yards and more touchdowns than in 2018. He had 65 receptions, 1,190 yards, 11 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford was out too for a good portion of that time. Kerryon Johnson. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, they have Kerryon Johnson still, and he was injured last season. They definitely have a chance to do a lot better, especially if he has Matthew Stafford. I just really like this place for him, and he's been improving every year. He gets Matthew Stafford back. He gets a better offensive line. He gets they get Matthew Stafford healthy for a full season and some other players around him. They're going to do much better, and he's going to do much better. He's their go-to wide receiver, and I don't really see anything stopping him besides maybe being injury prone. Even then, he's been pretty healthy. So I like him at my number 8 spot. I see him improving a lot next season. All right, number 9, we have Stephon Diggs. He's the recent recipient of a trade to the Buffalo Bills. I really like this spot for him. The Bills have really been improving. I really like Josh Allen as a quarterback. And really he hasn't had any wide receivers to go to, although John Brown really stepped up, and Cole Beasley was a really great addition for the Bills last season. With Stephon Diggs, I think he's really going to complete this set. And he's just gonna benefit from having other really good players around him. Not that Kirk Cousins was horrible, but I just feel like Josh Allen is gonna be the better quarterback, and he's a gunslinger, and I think he's gonna have a good season next season. So I really like Stephon Diggs on the Bills. Could really see him doing well. Even though a lot of people have him not as high as I do. I like the spot. All right. Last but not least, we have DJ Moore at number 10. DJ Moore had, if I remember correctly, a really good season last season. Sounds really weird to say last season, but it's true. In 2019, he had 1,175 yards, a little bit 87 receptions, so that's really good. 4 touchdowns, very low in that category, but in my opinion, the Carolina Panthers are improving a lot. Oh, I was just reading this thing that said the subject of trade rumors Curtis Samuel generated this offseason around the draft. Interesting. But really, I think their whole team is going to improve. I really like Joe Brady addition. Matt Rule seems like a guy who can get stuff done, at least in college. Not sure he's going to do a lot in Carolina, at least the first year. I think I would not be surprised if their main goal is to kind of tank and get Trevor Lawrence. But I really like DJ Moore. I can definitely see them getting the ball a lot more. I think his touchdowns are going to skyrocket this season. I could see him getting at least 11 or 12, with the receptions and yards still being very high. I mean, he could easily be a top 5 guy. Just improving. They have Teddy Bridgewater now. I think he's a little bit better than Kyle Allen was. And, Teddy really liked Michael Thomas last year. He's going to really like DJ Moore this year, and I think it's going to show. So that was it. Those were my reasonings. That's my rankings for my top 10 PPR wide receivers. I really appreciate you watching and listening to this. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me on my Twitter or my Instagram, AppleSiFantasy. Again, that's at Bullseye Fantasy, and hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe if you liked the video. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Peace.